What if weight gain isn't just about what you eat or how much you move, but about what your body has been exposed to? By the end of this video, you're going to understand how invisible chemicals in everyday life may be programming the body for fat storage before you ever make a food choice. And here is the unsettling question that we're going to come back to. What if obesity is being engineered chemically long before lifestyle ever enters the picture? For decades, obesity has been framed as too many calories, too little exercise, too little discipline. But the study opens with a startling claim, the study I'm going to look at today. The startling claim from the study is this: diet and inactivity alone cannot explain the speed and scale of the obesity epidemic. Now, the authors in the study that I'm going to show you note several things. So I'm going to show you the study here. Take a look. Environmental obesogens, organotins, and endocrine disruption via nuclear receptor signaling. This study is interesting, okay? It says over the last 2 decades, the incidence of obesity and associated metabolic syndrome disease has risen dramatically, becoming a global health crisis. You see, increased caloric intake and decreased physical activity are believed to represent the root causes of this dramatic rise. It says here, however, recent findings highlight the possible involvement of environmental obesogens. The study continues, but I'm highlighting here something important. This study, okay, was printed in the US, all right, and it comes from the Endocrine Society, okay, endocrinology. This is a really interesting study, and I'm sharing it with you today. We're talking about global obesity and what is the cause behind it all, or one of the causes. This is some big stuff that we are going to look at. So, the authors of this study note that genetic change happens slowly. Obesity rates have risen rapidly, they write. Therefore, another factor must be interacting with human biology. We assumed obesity was a behavioral problem, but the data shows behavior alone doesn't explain it. The environment itself must be influencing metabolism. So if you want health insights that go deeper than slogans and surface-level advice, stay with this channel because truth matters when it comes to the body. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video to help your friends out. The paper introduces a term most people have never heard. What is that term? Take a look again at the study here. Environmental obesogens. What are these? Well, these are defined as chemicals that disrupt hormonal and metabolic signaling, especially during development, and this predisposes the body toward fat storage. We thought that fat gain was about willpower, but obesogens bypass willpower entirely. Biology, not just behavior, is being altered in these days. But where do these chemicals come from? And how could exposure be happening without people even realizing it? Now, what are organotins? Are tin-based industrial chemicals used since the 1960s. They're found in marine anti-fouling paints, plastics like PVC stabilizers, food packaging, contaminated seafood. Wow. I mean, there are key scientific insights from the study. Human exposure levels were measured, 3 to 100 nanomolar. That range is biologically active, and this signals that these levels are sufficient to activate hormone receptors. And we can look at the conclusions here of the study. Take a look at this. Let's go here. And so as we go through, you're going to see something, the conclusions of the study, okay? It says here, the roles of environmental chemicals in the etiology of complex diseases, such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease are poorly understood. The link that has been forged between organotins and adipocyte differentiation opens an important new area of research into environmental influence on human health with respect to obesity and related metabolic disorders like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So they had done the study, and this is what they're going into, okay? I'm going to delve into it a little bit more here for us too. So human exposure levels were measured, okay? And the conclusions were that there was enough in the system to activate the hormone receptors. So we assumed that low-dose exposure was harmless, but nanomolar doses can alter gene signaling. So safe exposure may not be metabolically safe. So we have to look at how these chemicals hijack metabolism in the first place. There's the molecular mechanism, and we should simplify it, yet be accurate at the same time so we all understand. So organotins, they activate the RXR retinoid receptor, okay? Then these receptors, They control fat cell formation, energy storage, and insulin sensitivity. Hormones normally respond to the body's needs, but obesogens activate receptors inappropriately. So fat storage is turned on even when it shouldn't be. But here's the most disturbing part. What happens when exposure occurs before birth? We're going to get there in just a moment. You see, the study's developmental findings had looked at animal models. They looked at prenatal exposure, which caused increased fat cell number, fatty liver, large fat depots later in life. Yeah, we thought that obesity started in adulthood, but metabolic programming can happen in the womb. Wow. Obesity risk can precede personal responsibility. Oftentimes in society, we're put the burden on our shoulders. We're eating too much. We're not exercising enough. But there are things in our environment which are causing us to add weight. If this is challenging you, don't forget to give me a like and a thumbs up, okay? If this is challenging, the way you've thought about health and responsibility, pause, like this video, stay with me, because the implications of this study are profound. The study's direct challenge to mainstream thinking is key here. The authors state plainly that the paradigm that obesity is caused by diet and inactivity alone must be reassessed. We're told, or I should say, you know what? We are told. People are told to eat less and move more. But the biological playing field may already be altered from the onset. So prevention must include environmental purity. Isn't that interesting? So as much as we try to get our lives right with healthy eating, maybe eating less and exercising more, we also have to look at our environment and clean that up, all right? So there's a lot more interesting nuances in this study. The human body is not just a machine. It is responsive. The human body is adaptive and it's vulnerable. When chemical exposure alters hormone signaling, it programs fat storage. See, when hormones are messed with, when hormones are altered and the signaling is changed, this all programs fat storage and disrupts our metabolism. And health then becomes stewardship, not just some sort of discipline. People blame individuals, but systems and environments shape outcomes. Health must address both personal choices and collective responsibility. Exposure. Where does that happen? There's food chain contamination, plastics, industrial residues, prenatal environment all contribute. Why don't people know more about this stuff? Low dose effects were ignored. Hormonal disruption wasn't considered. Regulatory focus lagged behind the science. This is why people often don't know. If you want health guidance rooted in science, rooted in wisdom, and respect for the body's design, subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone who thinks obesity is just about willpower. Obesity is not just a personal failure. It's not just a calorie problem. It is also a chemical story, a developmental story, a stewardship story. And when the environment poisons the signal, the body obeys the wrong instructions. So if you've benefited from this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is amazing stuff. Get your environment clean and watch your health transform for the better. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.